have supporters, doubters? What really helped you get through that transition? And I bring this question up all the time because a lot of people get into real estate. It's not their first career choice,
Right.
right? Usually it's their second, third, fourth. You're maybe sometimes leaving a career that they've been with, for years and now jumping into a new industry.
Mhm.
For you, did you have a lot of supporters, doubters?
So, I had a lot of support for sure. I didn't have any doubters, at least that I knew of. You know, and getting to where I am today. I wasn't certain what I wanted to do in real estate. I just knew that I wanted to get a license to sell real estate, and as soon as I did, um, I was off and running. And I mean, I really didn't have time to think about whether I was coming or going, or who was supportive, who wasn't supportive. I was just too busy. Yeah, running. We at that time we had a ton of internet leads that were flowing in, and I was responsible for all of them. So yeah, I spent a lot of time in fielding a lot of those leads, and then as far as like the people that were supportive and not supportive, and my wife at the time was supportive until it was 5 or 6 o'clock, to come home and take care of the baby and eat dinner and have family time. And that can be hard to do for a newer agent,
Yeah.
to have consistency with the schedule.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
and
always
then,
say your if you have a significant other, they kind of have to be on board,
yeah, there's no option.
because I mean, you came from the car industry, so your hours are already crazy, but there's like this there's it's just a different.
It's
I
a
didn't come
different.
from I didn't come from a corporate background. I came in right out of college. So for me, this is the only thing I know. But I mean, even I look at my wife, and she grew up with parents that set hours, right? Dad
Yeah,
was a factory, worked at the factory. Her mom works, set hours, and for me, it was just like she met me, it was chaos, right? It was just like, whenever, right? I got showing at 9 this morning and 8 at night, and
for sure.
everything else in between, and I think especially when you're transitioning over, if you have a significant other, they got to be on board because it is a different way of life.
Mhm.
Now, as you get things going and settled, right, you can create some more structure and some of those things. But
Still not super easy.
yeah, it's still hard, right? Because we got to be available when our clients truly need us. So, no, that's awesome, Ben. For you, kind of take me through that journey. Obviously, that first yearish or so, you said you did 18 deals. Um, you worked internet leads. Did
Mhm.
you tap into any of your sphere of influence from the car world to help you as well?
I did, yeah. I did get into and touch base with some of my sphere, and and they were great, to me and my business. They really did a great job of funneling people my way whenever they had someone that was wanting to buy or sell. Because in the car business, in any given day, you could talk to 15 families.
Mm,
So those guys have a huge network of people. And then because I had sold, I don't know, at one time for a period of about 4 or 5 years before I got into management, I sold probably 900 to 1,000 cars a year.
wow.
So yeah, so it was so I yeah, there was a lot of people. I took a lot of my customers from the car business to my
Yeah.
real estate business, and absolutely, yeah.
How did you manage that? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that.
Mhm.
Leaving their career or tapping into their sphere, and where I see a lot of agents struggle is really positioning themselves as now the real estate expert, not what that agent used to be, right,
Sure.
in those people's eyes. How did you navigate? Um, and maybe you did it. Maybe it was just like, hey, this is what I'm doing now, right? Love to help you. But how did you really navigate that conversation? Because they may have known you from Ben, who sold me this car and this car and this car, but now he's a real estate professional.
Yeah, great question. So, how did I navigate that? Well, I told you before that it was a relationship thing. for me.
Yeah.
So my customers became my friends, right? Or
Mhm.
um, not necessarily they're all my friends, but all
Right.
people that I would consider
Acquaintances.
acquaintances for sure. Yeah. And if I would send them a text or give them a phone call, they'd pick up. Like, hey, Ben, what's going on? As I use so many different ways to build relationships with people, whether it was through sports or finding a common ground, having someone in common or having a similar hobby. So there again, I built relationships. So those phone calls were easy to make. They weren't just people that I had sold and said, see you later. I had built that relationship so that when it came time to move into real estate, people were super open. Yeah. And now
Nice.
that said, they all, everybody knows their real estate agent or their
Right.
their cousin Willie just got a license and they're gonna, throw him a bone. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, so early on, it was the relationships that really, that got me through. And then as I've gotten older and more mature and understand real estate more, I've kind of carved out my own little niche, I guess. And I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but in certain things, I do know quite a bit about real estate when it comes to rentals or renovations, rehabs, resale, that type of stuff. So now I am, I guess, more of an expert in certain regards. And those phone calls are a lot easier to make now because it's kind of a value proposition, like,
Yeah.
hey, if you want to buy in this area, um, I know this area and I know what you can buy this house for. And if you wanted to fix it up and resell it, like I know what you can sell it for, what you can buy
Yeah.
it for, about what it's going to cost to fix it, and the fees associated with it. And yeah, my audience is definitely more captive now. That's for sure.